And still on the appropriation bill, there have been mixed reactions trailing the budget proposal of 27.5 trillion naira presented to a joint session of the National Assembly on Wednesday by President Bola Tinubu. A sampled opinion conducted by a correspondent in Abuja in the Federal Capital Territory Abuja on Thursday showed divided response from residents over the performance of budgets in the country and the expected performance of the recently proposed appropriation for the 2024 fiscal year. We have details in this report. It was the first compulsory annual ritual of Bola Tinubu's administration at the National Assembly, and the elated president delivered it meritoriously. President Tinubu, a usual critique of former opposition administrations, was welcomed into the Green Chambers, like other former presidents of the country, by a combined session of the legislature chaired by the chairman of National Assembly, Senate President Godswill Akpabio, and his Vice Speaker Tajuddin Abbas, to present the expected spending for next year to be perused and approved by them. In the eloquently delivered speech, which explained the executive's planned spending, the president told the lawmakers that he and his cabinet will be spending a whopping 27.5 trillion naira in the next 12 months for the betterment of the country.
We have adopted a conservative oil price benchmark of $77.96 per barrel and daily oil production estimate of 1.78 million barrels per day. We have also adopted a naira to US dollar exchange rate of 7.50 per US dollar for 2024.
He got the commendation from some Nigerians who see the spending plan as a major drive to stimulate the country's economy.
The president was able to capture very copiously the issue of national security, human capacity development, particularly the youths, the teeming youths, young men and women. I think the budget will act as a stimulus package to address the current poverty line that Nigeria has fallen into, and once again recover our economy and fertilize it for even growth.
That for the first time we are having a paradigm shift of what we used to have in the past to that is new, and we want to believe that this is a trend that will continue into a foreseeable future for the next 4 years, so that Nigeria can witness for the first time a government who have lessened its borrowing and also taking up its capital expenditure.
It is note, however, the first-time high expectations trailed the budget proposal's presentation. During the 14 years administration of former presidents Goodluck Jonathan and Muhammadu Buhari, economic and human capital development were also expected to improve to no avail, as infrastructure and commercial activities dwindled even drastically despite huge budget proposals. The situation even deteriorated during the last administration, which had serial unfinanceable deficit despite humongous borrowings, which amounted to several trillions of naira. But with the projected deficit of 9.18 trillion or 3.88% of GDP in the 2024 budget, which is lower than the 13.78 trillion naira deficit recorded in 2023, representing 6.11% of GDP, and the deficit, which the president said will be financed by new borrowings, totaling 7.83 trillion naira, 298.49 billion naira from privatization proceeds, and 1.05 trillion naira drawdown on multilateral and bilateral loans secured for specific development projects. Analysts say the 2024 budget is the way to go.
Be fresh loans, partly because some loans are maturing and they will be refinanced. And as always, you are not going to finance 27.5 trillion all with revenue. So there will be continued reliance on loans, but less so. The important thing is that the size of the deficit, the size of the budget that is being relied on from borrowing is down.
45% debt servicing. That is not bad, except that we are borrowing more. Remember last year, debt to GDP was about 6%. Now debt to GDP is about 3%, and we have a deficit financing about 8.7 trillion. And that means that we're going to fund that from external borrowing. I mean, it's a fairly interesting budget, and it's on infrastructure development.
But Nigerians are worried that huge sums earmarked as budget of the country have not impacted on the development of the country when compared with the budgets of the yesteryears.
What we are enjoying, even now, even for them that are in power today, they did not spend most of this money. Rather, they didn't even have the money to spend. Let me give an example of Gawan. They were not having the money to spend. But at the end of the day, but you could see them, due to negotiation, they are able to develop many things, the power plants that we have today.
Honestly, in my own point of view, I see the budget as is way too much. It's too much. The problem is not collecting the money, but what are they using the money for? At the end of the day, will the masses benefit from it? And remember, we are still owing the bank money that we have not paid. Nigeria is still owing money. So I don't think this borrowing, this collecting of budget is a good idea.
Oh, they will borrow it and share it later. So that is Nigeria for you. So don't be surprised for anything. In Nigeria here, even the most unexpected can happen. So we should be praying. You understand? That is what I can say.
It is obvious that there is a wide gap in communication and lack of trust between the government and the citizens, especially when it involves finances and how they are spent. Government must try to convince the citizens that it has genuine plans on their promises to deliver dividends of democracy. Otherwise, all agenda, promises and efforts to better the lives of Nigerians will not be recognized. You're still on to the news on Galaxy TV. Coming up next.